In the near future, scientists have developed a revolutionary medical treatment called regeneration. This breakthrough technology allows humans to live indefinitely, maintaining their bodies at the biological age of 30 to 40 years old. The procedure involves regular immersion in specialized liquid-filled tanks, available in clinics throughout society and in the homes of the wealthy. The cityscape of this new world is sleek and modern, dominated by the cool blue glow of regeneration facilities against the backdrop of Benidorm's towering apartment buildings and the elegant architecture of Paris. Electric cars glide silently through the streets, and the visual aesthetic is clean and sterile, perhaps too sterile, as we'll come to understand. Imagine a world where death has been conquered, where the fear of aging and mortality that has haunted humanity since the dawn of consciousness has finally been vanquished. This is the premise of Ad Vitam, a thought-provoking French science fiction series released in 2018 that explores the profound implications of immortality on society and the human psyche. But this seemingly utopian society harbors dark undercurrents. The demographic balance has shifted dramatically, with the older generations now physically indistinguishable from the young maintaining political and economic control indefinitely. In response, strict birth control measures have been implemented, including a successful referendum campaign called Give Them Space that severely restricts new births. At the center of this world is Darius Ashram, a 120-year-old detective whose physical appearance is that of a man in his 40s. Played with world-weary intensity by Yavan Atal, Darius is approaching the end of his third and final 33-year term as a police officer. Despite the opportunity to reinvent himself in a new career, as is customary in this ageless society, he clings to his identity as a detective, perhaps because it's the only thing that gives his extended life meaning. Darius carries the weight of profound personal loss. His son died before the regeneration technology was perfected, leaving him with grief that has festered across decades. In a world where death has become taboo and largely forgotten, Darius remains haunted by mortality in ways his peers cannot comprehend. The story's catalyst arrives in the form of Krista Nora Novak, a rebellious 24-year-old woman played with raw intensity by Garance Marillier. Krista belongs to the generation born after regeneration technology became widespread, a generation that views the prospect of endless existence not as a gift but as a curse. The narrative begins with a shocking discovery. 7 teenagers have been found dead in what appears to be a mass suicide pact. In a society where death has become nearly obsolete, this act of collective self-destruction sends shockwaves through the establishment. Darius is assigned to investigate the case, and authorities arrange for his partnership with Krista, who was found near the scene of the suicides but claims to have no memory of the events. As a former suicide attempt survivor herself, Krista is thought to provide insight into the mindset of the young people who took their own lives. What unfolds is a complex investigation that peels back layers of societal dysfunction. The detective and his reluctant young partner discover evidence pointing to a secretive pro-suicide cult called the Revivals that has gained traction among young people. These youth see death not as something to be feared, but as the ultimate act of rebellion against a stagnant world controlled by the perpetually regenerating older generations. As Darius and Krista delve deeper into the case, we explore the broader societal implications of immortality. The Church of the Glorification represents those who believe regeneration is unnatural and against divine will. They oppose suicide cults not out of concern for the young lives lost, but because they fear such extreme actions undermine their more moderate anti-regeneration message. Professional grievers have emerged As a specialized profession, people trained to inform relatives when someone dies, as death has become such a rare and poorly understood phenomenon that most citizens lack the emotional vocabulary to process it. Death shops, modeled after sex shops, sell products designed to simulate the experience of dying, morbid curiosities for a population that has largely forgotten what mortality feels like. Careers are chosen from catalogs like vacation packages, with people routinely retraining for new professions to combat the boredom of endless existence. Yet many, like Darius, struggle with the meaninglessness that comes when time loses its urgency. Young people are not permitted to undergo regeneration until age 30, creating a stark divide between underage citizens who still experience aging and the perpetually youthful regenerated population. Before receiving their first treatment, individuals must pass compatibility tests, as not everyone's body accepts the technology. As Darius and Krista's investigation progresses, they uncover disturbing connections between the suicide cult and powerful figures within the establishment. The line between victim and perpetrator blurs as they realize the revival's cult may be manipulating vulnerable young people while serving a more sinister agenda. Their investigation takes them to underground gatherings where young people engage in dangerous rituals celebrating mortality. They infiltrate communities where artificial aging is induced as a form of rebellion against the regeneration-obsessed mainstream. And they begin to discover that the mass suicide that brought them together was not what it initially appeared. The relationship between Darius and Krista evolves from mutual distrust to reluctant respect. Darius sees in Krista echoes of his lost son, while Krista begins to understand that Darius' cynicism masks a deep humanity that most regenerated citizens have forgotten. In the series' most shocking revelations, Darius and Krista discover that the youth suicide crisis connects to government-sanctioned population control measures. With regenerated citizens living indefinitely and resources growing scarce, powerful interests have been secretly encouraging youth suicide as a means of demographic management. The investigation leads them to Virgil Caron Bertie, a charismatic figure played by Niels Schneider, who has infiltrated the youth movement while serving the interests of population control advocates. His manipulation of vulnerable young people raises disturbing questions about free will and coercion in a world where the young have been systematically disenfranchised. Meanwhile, Krista's mysterious past gradually comes to light. She discovers she was part of a government experiment related to regeneration technology, explaining her fragmented memories and connection to the suicide victims. This revelation forces her to question her identity and autonomy. Beyond its sci-fi thriller elements, Ad Vitam explores profound philosophical questions. If life extends indefinitely, does it lose its meaning? Without the deadline of mortality, do our choices and accomplishments matter less? What happens to memory over centuries of existence? Can the human mind truly accommodate hundreds of years of experiences, or are we psychologically designed for shorter lifespans? How does immortality affect the natural succession of generations? If the old never make way for the young, how does society evolve and adapt? Is death a tragedy to be conquered or an essential component of what makes life precious? The series doesn't offer easy answers to these questions, but instead invites viewers to contemplate how technological solutions to aging might fundamentally change what it means to be human. As Darius and Krista close in on the truth, powerful forces move to silence them. The investigation becomes a dangerous game of cat and mouse, with the partners fighting not just for justice but for their lives. The series builds to a dramatic confrontation where Darius must choose between preserving the system that has given him extended life and exposing the dark truth behind it. Krista faces her own dilemma whether to embrace the regeneration technology when she comes of age or stand with her generation in rejecting what they see as an unnatural extension of life. In the final episodes, Darius and Krista uncover evidence that would expose the government's role in manipulating the youth suicide crisis. This information could destabilize the entire social order built around regeneration technology. The weight of this knowledge forces them to make impossible choices about loyalty, justice, and what kind of future they want for their society. Without giving away the series' most powerful twists, Ad Vitam concludes with a nuanced exploration of what gives life meaning in a world where death has become optional. The series suggests that perhaps it is not immortality itself that has corrupted society, but how that technology has been implemented and controlled. The final scenes leave viewers with haunting questions about whether humanity is psychologically equipped for immortality, and whether the freedom to choose when and how to die might be as important as extending life indefinitely. Ad Vitam stands as a thought-provoking exploration of transhumanism and the social implications of radical life extension. Unlike many sci-fi works that focus on the technological aspects of immortality, this series delves deeply into the psychological and sociological consequences. The show reminds us that technological solutions to human problems often create new, unforeseen challenges. It suggests that conquering death might not lead to utopia, but to different forms of social dysfunction unless we also evolve our social structures and psychological understanding. In a world increasingly fascinated with longevity research and life extension technologies, Ad Vitam offers a compelling cautionary tale not against the pursuit of longer lives, but against implementing such technologies without careful consideration of their broader impacts on human society and psychology. As we contemplate real-world advances in longevity science and regenerative medicine, Ad Vitam invites us to consider not just whether we can extend human life indefinitely, but whether and how we should. It challenges us to think about what gives life meaning beyond mere duration, and how society might need to transform to accommodate radically extended lifespans. This French series, though it received limited international attention upon its release, offers one of the most sophisticated and nuanced explorations of immortality in contemporary science fiction. Its blend of mystery, philosophical depth, and psychological insight makes it essential viewing for anyone interested in the profound questions surrounding human mortality and the quest to overcome it. In a world increasingly obsessed with extending lifespan, Ad Vitam reminds us that the quality and meaning of our years may matter more than their number, and that death, for all its terror, might play an essential role in what makes life precious.